Hello everyone, welcome to today's our online class. So we are continuing the next part of the lesson from the diary of Anne Frank written by Anne Frank. So in the first part we have learned that the introduction that she has given for her diary, and she has named her diary as Kitty, and the first date she started to write the diary is Saturday 20 June 1942. So let's check what is there. So we can start the lesson. Saturday 20 June 1942. Dearest Kitty. Kitty is the name that she has given to the diary. Our entire class is quacking in boots. The reason, of course, is the forthcoming meeting in which the teachers decide who will move up to the next form and who will be kept back. What is meant by quacking in the boots? Quacking in the boots means shaking with fear and nervousness. So all the students, the whole class is shaking with fear and nervousness. Why? What's the reason there? The reason is that the next meeting, in that meeting, the teachers will decide who will go up and who will stay in the same class. Half the class is making bets. GN and I laugh ourselves silly at the two boys behind us, CN and Jacques, who have staked their entire holiday savings on their bet. So half of the class were betting. They are betting that what is their betting? Who will pass, who will not pass. That is, GN is the name of her friend. Maybe she didn't like to reveal the name of that girl. That's why she wrote GN. And CN also one of the boy. So that's why she didn't reveal the name. Maybe. So look there. So CN and Jax, they have stacked the entire holiday savings. So they have entire holiday savings. They kept that all for the bet. What is a bet? From the morning to night, it is you are going to pass. No, I am not. Yes, you are. No, I am not. So they are saying you are going to pass. Then the next person, no, I am not going to pass. Yes, you are going to pass, but no, I am not going to pass. So that is a bet. Somebody saying you are not going to pass. He is saying no, I am not going to pass. That is a bet there. Who will pass? Who will not pass from the class? Okay, so let's take the next one. Even G's pleading glances and my angry outburst can't calm them down. So G is another student's name. So G pleaded, and even Anne Frank even angrily shouted at them, but they didn't calm down. If you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of a class should be kept back. Dummies means here numbers. So a lot of students are there. So because of that, about a quarter of the class should be kept back in the same class. But teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on earth. So she says, the teachers are most unpredictable creatures on earth. So we can't say who will pass, who will stay in the class itself. So here, so many students are there. So it needed to be, some of the students must be failed, must be kept back in the class. So here she is saying, but I am not sure. We can't say who will be keeping back there because teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on the earth. I'm not so worried about my girlfriends and myself. She's saying I'm not worried about my friends and myself. We'll make it. Sure, she thinks that they all will pass. The only subject I am not sure about is maths. She's saying the only subject she doesn't sure about that maths. Anyway, all we can do is wait. So whatever it is, the thing they can do is that to wait. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. So till their teachers declare the result, till that they talk to each other that not to lose the heart. I get along pretty well with all my teachers. So here get along means a good relationship. So she says I have a good relationship with all my teachers. So I don't have problem with any teachers except the problem with that maths subject. So she's thinking that she and her friends will pass, Then they discussed each other, said each other that not to lose heart, don't lose heart, we all will pass. We can wait until the teacher declare it. There are nine of them, that is teachers, seven men and two women. So there are nine teachers, seven men and two women. Mr. Keesing, the old fogey who teaches maths, was annoyed with me for ages because I talked so much. So Mr. Keesing is an old fogey. Old fogey means old fashioned person. She called that person as old fashioned person because he's an old man. Mr. Keesing was annoyed her very much, always, because she was always talking. After several warnings, he assigned me extra homework, an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. What is a chatterbox? A person who makes a lot of noise. So after a lot of warnings, several warnings, that max teacher, Mr. Keesing, assigned her an extra homework. What is extra homework? To write an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. She was talking always in the classroom. That's why he gave that topic as an essay. A chatterbox. What can you write about that? I would worry about that later. I decided. She thought, okay, what I can write that? She will worry about that later. She decided that, and I jotted down the title in my notebook. Jotted means note down, write down. Tucked it in my bag and tried to keep quiet. So put the notebook in the. She wrote down the heading, that chatterbox, in the notebook, and put the notebook in her bag, and she kept it quiet. That evening, after I had finished the rest of my homework, the note about the essay caught my eye. That evening, when she had finished her homeworks, all her homeworks, caught my eye means noticed. Caught my eye means noticed. She noticed that paper, the word is that it is written there, write an essay on chatterbox, a chatterbox. I began thinking about the subject while chewing the tip of my fountain pen. She was biting on the tip of her fountain pen and she was thinking about the subject. Anyone could ramble on. Ramble on means talk or write aimlessly for long. That is silly things. So ramble on and leave a big space between words. But the trick was to come up with convincing arguments to prove the necessity of talking. So she says that anyone can write a lot of silly things, but somebody can make the essay big by leaving a lot of gap between the words. But the trick is that to come up with convincing arguments to prove that why I am talking. What is the necessity of talking in the classroom? I thought, and suddenly I had an idea. So she thought a lot of time to get an idea to prove that why she was talking. What's the reason she's talking? And finally, she got an idea. She wanted to prove from that essay that what is the reason she was talking more in the classroom. So finally, after thinking a lot of time, she got an idea. So through that argument, sure, she can prove why she was talking in the classroom. I wrote the 3 pages Mr. Keesing had assigned me and was satisfied. She wrote 3 pages. Mr. Keesing gave her 3 pages to write, and that 3 pages she completed. I argued that talking is a student's trait. Trait here means character, and that I would do my best to keep it under control, but that I would never be able to cure myself of the habit since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more, and that there is not much you can do about inherited traits. What is by inherited traits? That qualities may be physical or mental that one gets from one's parents, that is inherited traits. So she's argued that a student's trait is to talk more. That she said, I'll try to keep that under her control, but she would never be able to cure that one because that habit is she got that habit from her mother. Her mother always talk more, so it's an inherited trait. That means something that a trait, a habit, a quality that got from one's own parents. So my and my mother was talking too much. I got this thing from my mother, and you can do nothing about that because it's an inherited trait. That quality I got from my parents. Mr. Casey had a good laugh at my arguments, but when I proceeded to talk my way through the next lesson, he assigned me a second essay. Mr. Casey was laughed for her argument, but again she continued to talk in the next lessons. He assigned her a second essay. This time it was supposed to be an incorrigible chatterbox. Incorrigible means something that cannot be corrected, usually a bad quality. So next extra title is an incorrigible chatterbox. I had it in, and Mr. Casing had nothing to complain about for 2 whole lessons. Again she wrote the essay and she submitted that one. After that, Mr. Casing doesn't have anything to complain for about 2 whole lessons. Next 2 whole lessons, she didn't make much noise. She didn't talk more, so that Mr. Kissing didn't have any complaint about her because now she's not talking in the classroom. However, during the third lessons, he had finally had enough. And Frank, as punishment for talking in class, write an essay entitled Quack Quack Quack, said Mistress Chatterbox. The class roared. So during the third lesson, what happened there? Again she started talking more. Now he said another topic, said that okay, and Frank, as a punishment you write another essay. The title, entitled means a given title of the essay is that Quack Quack Quack, said Mistress Chatterbox. The class roared, they laughed. All the class students laughed loudly. I had to laugh too, though I had nearly exhausted my ingenuity on the topic of chatterbox. Ingenuity means originality and inventiveness. So she was exhausted. Exhausted here means completed. Her topics completed. She doesn't have more original ideas to write in the essay. So she also laughed there. She also laughed more in the classroom. 2 times she wrote her arguments. 2 times she wrote. That two was her own ideas, her own original ideas she wrote. But again, third time Mr. Kissing gave another essay to write. But now she can't do anything. So that she also laughing more in the classroom. All the students in the class laughed by listening the title of the essay. It was time to come up with something else, something original. Now it's time to come up with it, start a new thing, write something better. So my friend San, who is good at poetry, offered to help me write the essay from beginning to end in verse, and I jumped for joy. Verse means poetry, verse, lines. So her friend San, she is very good she is very good at poetry. She was very good at writing poetry. So she offered help to write the essay as a poem. So she was jumped for joy. Mr. Casing was trying to play a joke on me with this ridiculous subject. Now she understood that one. Mr. Casing was trying to play a joke on her with this terrible subject. So she was happy to write it in a poem. But I would make sure the joke was on him. She thought, yes, I will write the joke on him, not on me. I finished my poem and it was beautiful. She finished the poem. It was very beautiful. It was about a mother duck and a father swan with 3 baby ducklings who were bitten to death by the father because they quacked too much. So that poem is like a story. It is about a mother duck and a father swan. They have 3 baby ducklings. But that 3 baby ducklings were bitten to death. Bitten to death means the father killed by biting. Biting. By biting, the father killed that ducklings. Why the father killed the duckling? Because they quacked too much. That ducklings are quacking too much. So luckily, Mr. Keesing took the joke the right way. So the poem she wrote as a story she wrote as a poem. So what is there? she wanted to prove that the way how the teacher behaved with her. So that's why she wrote that one. The father swan killed the ducklings because they are quacking too much. Really, that quacking is their inherited character. Father swan and the mother duck all will quack. So that quacking they got from the duckling got that quacking from their parents only. So how can they change that one? So it is not possible. So that is the idea she shared there. Through that poem, she said. He read the poem to the class, added his own comments. We already know that one. He took that joke in right way. Mr. Casing took the joke in right way. So he added some comments about that and he read that poem in the class and to several other class as well. And he read that poem to other class also because he liked that poem very well. Since then, I have been allowed to talk and haven't been assigned in extra homework. From that moment onwards, she was allowed to talk more in the classroom and there was no extra assignment for her, extra homework for her. On the contrary here means other hand. Mr. Keesing is always making jokes these days. So now, in other hand, Mr. Keesing was always making more jokes now. So yours and she wind up the diary here. So that is the end of her diary. So I hope you all enjoyed the diary and I hope you all enjoyed this lesson. If you have any doubts, you can ask it. So we are winding up our class here. So take care. You have to read this chapter completely from first to last. And finally, if any doubt is there, you must ask. Okay, then take care. Bye. See you again. Thank you one and all.